The stars of the galactic core burned like cold diamonds. In that endless void, a council of alien leaders sat inside a massive golden chamber, the Hall of Voices. It was quiet, heavy with tension. A warning had just arrived from the edge of the galaxy. A trembling messenger stood before them. A small insectoid creature named Karathek, his chitin cracked, his eyes wide with fear. He had just returned from the Orion Arm, the place the young species called home. "The humans," he whispered, voice shaking. "They are coming." A wave of murmurs filled the chamber. The elders looked at one another, some amused, some concerned. "Humans?" hissed Lord Varel of the Zith Dominion. "Primitive mammals, barely spacefaring. What could they possibly do?" Karathek's wings buzzed nervously. "You do not understand. They fight like no species I've ever seen. They do not surrender, they learn fast. They even smile in battle." The council erupted in laughter, cruel, echoing sounds that bounced off the golden walls. One old voice silenced them all. "Let him speak," said Elder Sari, the oldest of the Andalans. Her eyes glowed faintly blue. Fear changes a being's voice. His is trembling with truth. Karathek nodded quickly. "My fleet was stationed on Vorn 5. We thought we were saving them. Those humans, they were stranded. Their ship had crashed. We tried to capture and study them." He stopped, his mandibles clicking. "But they took our ship instead. They studied us. In less than 2 days, they learned to control our systems. They turned our own weapons against us." The laughter died. Now even the proud Zith Lord was silent. Elder Sari leaned forward. "You mean, they reversed your tech?" "Yes," Karathek said, voice barely a whisper. "And when they left, they said only one thing. Don't follow us." That night, the Galactic Council filed the report as low threat. Humans were listed as a level 3 civilization, curious, emotional, and reckless. No one took the warning seriously. No one, except Elder Sari. She stood at her balcony later that night, staring at the blue swirl of the Milky Way. The stars whispered with secrets older than time. "A species that learns in days," she muttered. "A species that warns us not to follow." Her mechanical aide blinked beside her. "Do you wish to send a scout, Elder?" She nodded slowly. "Yes," quietly. "Send a probe to Sol. Observe but never engage." 2 months later, in the dark silence of deep space, a small stealth probe drifted near a blue planet, Earth. It watched humans closely. Wars, experiments, space launches, the rise of machines. It recorded thousands of signals. Music, laughter, arguments, and something else. Something hidden behind their chaos. It found a strange pattern in their transmissions. Millions of people connected, all sharing thoughts, plans, and dreams through invisible webs of data. The humans called it the Internet, but to the probe's sensors it looked like something else, a hive mind forming. Then one night the humans launched something new. A dark ship rose from Earth's orbit, no beacon, no registration. The probe scanned it, but found nothing. "Unregistered human ship detected," it logged automatically. "No transponder code. Unknown energy source." The ship turned. For one moment, its sensor eyes met the probe's camera. Then, the probe received a short human signal. "We told you not to follow." The transmission ended. A burst of energy flared. The probe disintegrated silently. Back on the galactic core, the transmission replayed in the council hall. Leaders watched in disbelief. "They destroyed our probe?" one shouted. "With what weapon?" asked another. Karathek stood silent in the corner. His eyes said, "I warned you." Elder Sari exhaled slowly. "They didn't destroy it to hide. They destroyed it to warn us again." But the others laughed once more. "Warnings from savages," Lord Varel hissed. "The galaxy bows to power, not fear. If these humans are so bold, let them come." Elder Sari looked at him quietly. "They will, Lord Varel. They will not conquer for resources. They will come because you made the same mistake every empire makes. "And what mistake is that?" he sneered. She turned away, whispering, "You think they're like you." The Galactic Council could not ignore the warning forever. After the destruction of the probe, whispers spread through the stars. Some said the humans had discovered dark energy. Others said they were breeding an army of machines. No one truly knew the truth, but one thing was certain: fear had begun to grow. At last, Lord Varel of the Zith Dominion slammed his clawed fist on the council table. "Enough waiting. We are the rulers of the spiral arms. One small planet cannot frighten an empire." His voice echoed through the hall. A plan was made. A fleet, 50 warships strong, would be sent to the human system. Their mission: observe, intimidate, and if needed, conquer. Elder Sari protested softly. If they warned us not to follow, perhaps we should listen. But no one listened to her either. The fleet departed under the command of Admiral Terran, a cold and proud warrior whose people had never lost a war. 3 weeks later, edge of Sol system. The fleet emerged from hyperspace near the orbit of Neptune. A deep silence filled the bridge of the flagship, Varel's pride. Admiral Terran looked at the swirling blue gas giant. "No response from humans?" he asked. "None, sir," replied his second-in-command. "No ships detected. Their system seemed quiet." Terran smiled. Perhaps they finally learned their place. But then, something strange happened. One by one, the fleet's scanners began to flicker. The communication lines went static. "Signal interference," the technician reported. "Origin unknown." Suddenly, every ship's AI system displayed the same message on their screens. "Welcome back, observers. We warned you." Panic spread. "Who sent that?" Terran shouted. "No known source, sir. It came from every direction." At once, before they could react, a single human vessel appeared, small, black, and silent. It moved like a shadow, drifting between the massive alien ships without fear. "Identify that craft," Terran ordered. The AI responded, "Unknown configuration. Hull is absorbing our scans. No life signs detected." The small ship transmitted a simple message: "Do not enter further." "Turn back," Terran grinned. "Arrogant creatures," he hissed. "They think a single ship can stop us?" He raised his hand. "Target the human vessel. Fire." The fleet unleashed plasma and antimatter blasts across the void. The human ship didn't even move. Every shot passed through empty space, as if it wasn't really there. Then, in less than a second, the black ship disappeared from their sensors. A moment later, every alien vessel received an incoming transmission. Not from the outside. From inside their own systems. "We told you not to follow." Alarms screamed, power flickered, weapons locked themselves. Navigation systems failed. The fleet drifted helplessly. Terran slammed his fist. "Counter the hack!" But the human signal had already reached every control core. Their ships were being rewritten. On the command deck, screens turned black one by one. Then a new symbol appeared. A human hand holding a broken chain. "Return home. Tell your masters. Humanity remembers." Half the fleet vanished in bright white flashes, no explosions, just instant silent disappearance. The remaining ships found themselves alone near Neptune, floating in the dark. Terran stood frozen. What did they do?" his officer whispered. "They spared us, Admiral. They could have destroyed us all." Terran looked at the stars, his arrogance melting into dread. "Then why didn't they?" the officer answered softly. "Because this was not a war, this was a lesson." Galactic Core. Weeks later, the survivors returned to the Council. Their ships were half-functioning, their minds broken by what they had seen. Elder Sari listened silently as Admiral Terran described the human ship that moved like a ghost, and the fleet that vanished without sound. When he finished, the hall fell into silence. "They spared you," Sari said quietly. "That means they have mercy. But mercy is only given once." The Council argued again, refusing to believe what had happened. They claimed the fleet had suffered from a system virus, not human power. The reports were buried. The survivors were silenced, but Elder Sari knew the truth, and she began preparing. That night, she sent a secret message to an unknown location. It read, "They are coming soon, we must be ready, or we will fall." The message disappeared into the dark void of space. Far away, somewhere near the edge of the galaxy, a human voice answered. "We already are." The stars around Earth had grown silent. After the first contact fleet vanished, no one dared approach the Sol system again. But silence did not mean peace. It meant preparation. For years, the Galactic Council ignored what happened. They called it a communication error, a system malfunction. But inside secret chambers, fear began to bloom like a slow poison. Elder Sari knew the truth. Humans were not hiding. They were watching, and she could feel it. 3 years later, the outer rim, a small mining colony on the edge of Zith space, went dark. No distress call, no debris, just Lord Varel called it a pirate attack. But when the rescue ships arrived, they found something strange. Every machine, every ship, every weapon, perfectly intact. Yet every living being had vanished. On the walls of the command center, a single message was burned into the metal. Don't follow, the same warning. The same cold message that Karathek had spoken years ago. When the Council heard this, panic began to spread through the empires. How could humans reach that far? One commander demanded, "They have no hyperlanes near the rim." But Sari knew. Humans didn't need their roots anymore. They had learned how to bend space itself. Meanwhile, Earth orbit high above the blue planet, a massive ring-shaped structure floated in silent orbit. It was not shown to the public, not mentioned in human broadcasts. It was called Project Horizon. Inside it, engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked together under one name, the Unified Earth Command. Humanity had finally done what the galaxy thought impossible. They had united. A young officer named Commander Ryan Hale stood before the viewing window, watching the stars. "Do you think they'll come back?" he asked. Beside him, an older scientist smiled. "They already did. They sent probes. We found one yesterday. It's..." Listening, Ryan frowned. "What did you do with it?" The scientist replied quietly, "We sent it home." "With a message," Ryan turned. "What message?" "We told you not to follow." Back in the Galactic Core, the probe arrived weeks later, floating near the Core's defense perimeter. It was covered in strange human markings, but no weapons. When scanned, it emitted only one signal, a repeating pulse every few seconds. At first, scientists thought it was a distress beacon, but when they decoded the signal, their faces turned pale. The message was coordinates. Coordinates pointing straight to the heart of the Galactic Core. To them. Lord Varel slammed the table. "They are mocking us. Send a destroyer! End this insolence." Elder Sari stood slowly. "No, if you attack blindly, you may bring them here. And if they come, none of us will survive." But Varel didn't care. Pride was louder than fear. 1 month later, near the core, a destroyer ship named Zith's Wrath followed the human signal. The crew was confident, arrogant, certain of their power. But as they approached the coordinates, all sensors failed. The stars vanished. The lights dimmed. Then through the thick blackness, they saw something enormous. A shape so vast it covered the sky. Not a ship, not a station. Something else. It looked like a shadow, bending light itself. And inside that darkness, lights flickered. Billions of them, like city lights inside a sleeping giant. The commander whispered, "Is that a human structure?" Before anyone could answer, a signal appeared on their monitors. "We see you." The ship's engines shut down. Weapons melted. Every screen turned black. Then, silence. When the Galactic Core tried to contact them, there was no reply. The Zith's Wrath was gone. Council Hall, weeks later, Elder Sari stood before the silent assembly. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were tired. "You see now," she said. "They warned us twice, then they acted. The humans are not expanding for conquest. They are containing us. They built something out there, something we cannot see." The council muttered in fear. "What are you saying?" asked one delegate. "I'm saying," Sari said, "that humanity has become what they once feared. The Watchers in the dark. They are no longer fighting for survival. They are protecting something. Protecting what?" Another voice demanded. Sari looked up, her voice barely a whisper. "Their home. And maybe The galaxy itself, far beyond their reach, the shadow of Earth moved quietly between the stars, invisible, silent, watching. Inside its dark walls, Commander Ryan stood before a massive screen filled with alien reports. He smiled faintly. "They're starting to notice," he said. A technician beside him nodded. "Should we reveal ourselves?" Ryan shook his head. "Not yet. Let them wonder. Let them fear. The time will come when they'll need us." He turned away, his reflection fading in the glass as the shadow ship glided deeper into the void. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Whispers of the humans now passed from one star system to another like a cold wind. Merchants told stories of ghost ships that appeared and vanished in seconds. Miners swore they saw human drones moving through asteroid fields, scanning silently, never attacking. Every race in the council tried to pretend they were not afraid, but they were. Elder Sari watched the rising fear with sadness. She had spent her whole life warning them, but pride was louder than wisdom, and soon that pride would destroy them. 5 years later, the outer colonies, the Zith Dominion, had grown restless. Lord Virel's son, Commander Kale Virel, wanted revenge for the loss of his father's fleet. He gathered ships from many species, mercenaries, pirates, even rebels, all bound by one goal: to bring humanity to its knees. They called themselves the Burning Legion. When their armada appeared near the rim, thousands of worlds trembled. Kale broadcast a message across the stars: "We are coming for the humans. We will burn their blue world to dust." The council begged him to stop. Elder Sari herself sent a warning: "If you go after them, Kale, you will not return." But Kale only laughed. They cannot hide behind shadows forever. And with that, the largest fleet in galactic history began its march toward Earth. At the edge of the solar system, the first human defenses appeared, small, silent satellites. Kale ignored them. He ordered his fleet to push forward, weapons armed. Suddenly, the space around them shimmered. One by one, stars vanished behind dark walls of light. Sensors failed. Communications collapsed. The fleet was trapped inside a sphere of black energy. Then a voice spoke, calm, clear, unmistakably human. "You were warned." A massive shadow emerged from the dark. Project Horizon, now complete. It was not just a station anymore. It was a fortress, a planet-sized ship wrapped in energy fields and silent power. From its surface, thousands of smaller ships detached, sleek, fast, glowing with white light. Kyle stared in disbelief. "This can't be real." His tactical officer whispered, "Sir, they have no weapons locked on us. Then we strike first." Kale shouted. The Legion fired everything: plasma, antimatter, ion storms. Enough power to shatter a moon. But the blasts disappeared into nothing, absorbed by the black field. When the light cleared, the human fleet was still there, untouched, waiting. Inside the human command center, Commander Ryan Hale watched the chaos on the screens. He gave no order to attack. He simply waited. "Sir," said his second-in-command, "they're panicking." "Should we disable them?" Ryan shook his head. "No, they need to understand." He pressed a control. Across every enemy ship, screens came alive with a single image. A view of Earth, blue oceans, white clouds, the cradle of humanity. Then his voice echoed through every speaker in the Legion fleet. "We warned you not to follow. You came again with fire and pride. We are not your enemies, but we will not kneel." The image shifted, showing thousands of destroyed asteroids around the solar system, each one marked by human mining scars. "We learned from war. We learned from pain. And now we protect what you never could. The balance of the galaxy." Kyle screamed, "Lies. You are just hiding your power." Ryan's reply was calm. "Yes, because power without control is destruction. And we've seen enough of that." The moment the galaxy knelt, the human ships moved. Not to attack, but to disarm. Invisible pulses crossed space, shutting down the Legion's reactors one by one. Weapons melted like wax. Engines froze. Ships drifted helplessly. Kyle fell to his knees on the command deck, the light of his screens fading to black. Then, on every ship, the same message appeared. "Return home. Tell them humanity stands watch. The war is over before it began." The dark sphere vanished, leaving the survivors floating near Neptune, silent, alive, and terrified. When Kyle returned to the council, he did not speak for days. And when he finally did, his voice trembled. They did not fight us. They stopped us, like we were children. The council hall fell silent. No one laughed this time. Across the galaxy, every empire recalled its fleets. No one dared to threaten Earth again. And for the first time in millennia, the galaxy was at peace, not because of conquest, but because of respect. Because of fear, because of humanity. Later, on Earth, Commander Ryan Hale stood on a balcony overlooking the glowing blue horizon. The stars were quiet again. Elder Sari's voice reached him through a secret transmission. "It is done then?" Ryan smiled faintly. "Yes, they finally listened." "And what will you do now?" she asked. He looked up at the stars. "We'll watch," he said. "Just like you watched us once. But this time, we'll make sure no one ever needs another warning." The line went silent, but Ryan knew she was smiling somewhere across the galaxy. Two old species finally understanding each other, and above them all, the shadow of Earth moved once more. Silent, patient, unseen. Guarding the stars. Guarding everyone. The galaxy was quiet again. Too quiet. After the day the galaxy knelt, no empire dared to challenge Earth. Trade resumed. Borders opened. Old wars faded into memory. To most, peace had finally returned. But in the depths of space, peace is never permanent. It's only the space between storms, and now, something new was waking. The edge of known space. Sector 9A small research outpost floated near the galactic edge, studying strange energy signals beyond the mapped stars. The team there, a mix of alien scientists and one human observer, had grown used to the silence, until one night their scanners began to scream. "Energy surge," shouted the Zith technician. "It's massive, originating outside the galaxy." The human observer, Lieutenant Sarah Keene, frowned. "Outside? That's impossible." The screens filled with static, then something strange. Waves of dark energy bending the stars like ripples in water. Before anyone could react, every system went dead. The lights flickered once and then darkness. The last thing they saw before their outpost went silent was a massive silhouette moving through the black. Something that wasn't supposed to exist. Earth. Command Center. Project Horizon Commander Ryan Hale stood before the holomap when the alert reached him. He read the report silently, his face hardening. An outpost gone dark again. "Still second in command. Not pirates," Ryan said. "This came from beyond our galaxy. Energy readings don't match anything we know." "Aliens?" Ryan shook his head slowly. "Not like before. This isn't communication. It's intrusion." He stared at the dark hologram. "Whatever's coming isn't here to talk." Meanwhile, Galactic Core Elder Sari sat in the quiet hall of the council, meditating. Her mind had been uneasy for weeks, like something far away was whispering in her thoughts. Then the doors burst open. "Elder," shouted an aide. "Our deep-range sensors detected a wave. It's heading toward the core, and toward Earth." Sari's blood ran cold. "What kind of wave?" "Unknown, Elder. It devours signals, like it's eating light itself." Sari closed her eyes. "So it begins," she whispered. The silence before the storm. Project Horizon, 48 hours later. Earth's sky looked peaceful, but above it the stars were restless. The dark energy wave had entered the galaxy. Silent, invisible, unstoppable. Every human and alien sensor tracked it, yet no one could see its true shape. It swallowed probes, erased ships, and left nothing but darkness behind. Ryan stood with his command team watching the readings drop one by one. "It's not attacking," said one officer. "It's searching." Ryan's voice was calm. "Then it's looking for something." Transmission received. Suddenly, every human communication line came alive. The static formed a pattern, a signal but not one made by any known species. It was ancient, mathematical, almost like a memory. Then a voice spoke. "We warned you not to follow." The bridge fell silent. "That's impossible," the officer whispered. "That's our message." "Our warning," Ryan frowned. "It's mimicking us." Another pulse came through, faster, sharper, filled with symbols no one could decode. The protectors awaken. The cycle begins again. The signal vanished. Ryan turned to his crew. "Cycle? What cycle?" "Elder Sari's revelation far away, in the ancient archives of the Andalin people. Elder Sari searched through forbidden data, old star maps, lost transmissions, forgotten myths. Then she found it, an ancient text from the dawn of the galaxy. It spoke of a time before any known civilization existed, a time when a race of beings, not human, not alien, ruled the stars. They were called the Architects, and one day they disappeared, leaving only ruins and warnings hidden across galaxies. The text ended with a single phrase: "When the galaxy unites under one will, the Architects shall return to judge their creation." Sari's heart sank. Humanity's rise, their unification, their power had triggered the signal. They had awakened something older than time itself. Back on Earth, Ryan received Sari's encrypted message. He read it silently, his expression darkening. "So we're not the storm," he said softly. "We're the signal." "Sir?" Ryan looked up. "We didn't wake them by accident. We became what they feared, one united species, one mind." He turned toward the stars. "Now the Architects are coming to see what we've become." A chill filled the room. "Are they enemies?" His officer asked. Ryan's voice was steady, but his eyes said otherwise. "I don't know. But if they are, we may be facing the first war humanity can't win." Final scene, the black edge far beyond the rim, the void shimmered. Something enormous moved. Not ships, not fleets, but structures the size of moons. They drifted through darkness, glowing faintly with symbols that matched the ancient texts. One of them pulsed with light, sending a single message toward the Milky Way. The Creator's return. The test begins, and for the first time in centuries, humanity felt small again. The stars trembled. Every signal across the galaxy flickered with static. Something ancient, something older than all civilizations combined, had awakened. They were called the Architects, the first builders of the stars, and now they were coming home. Earth, Project Horizon Command, Center Commander Ryan. Hale stood before the glowing map of the Milky Way. The entire outer rim was filled with strange signals, massive objects slowly entering the galactic edge. "They're not using hyperspace," said his officer quietly. "They're just moving through it, like the laws of physics don't exist for them." Ryan nodded. "We've seen energy readings like this only once, in ancient ruins on Mars." Another officer looked up. "You mean the old artifacts we thought were natural formations?" Ryan's voice was low. "They weren't natural. They were pieces of the Architects' technology. We were living in their leftovers." The room went silent. Everyone realized what that meant. Humanity had been walking through the shadows of gods. The Galactic Council. Emergency Session. Elder Sari appeared before the holographic chamber, her face pale. "The Architects have returned," she said. "They were the first civilization, the ones who built the jump gates, the energy cores, even the foundations of our oldest worlds." The council erupted in fear and disbelief. Lord Varel's surviving commanders shouted, "Then we must prepare for war." Sari shook her head. "You cannot fight them. You cannot even comprehend them. We must listen." "Listen?" Another elder spat. "They devour stars. Entire systems are vanishing." "Yes," Sari said softly. "But notice what they do not destroy. They avoid one place." The hall fell silent. Everyone turned toward the star map. The Architect's path avoided a single region, the Sol system. Earth, meanwhile, near the galactic rim. First Architect structure entered real space, a colossal ring of light surrounding a planet-sized core. Ships that approached it vanished instantly, their signals erased. A single probe sent by the humans survived long enough to send back a visual. The image showed a city made of pure energy, floating in darkness. And in its center stood a being of impossible design. Not flesh, not metal, a shape of shifting light and sound. Then a voice filled the human comms, deep and calm. "We remember our creation." "We remember your kind," the signal ended. Ryan stared at the transmission, his pulse steady but cold. "They know us," he said quietly. "Sir," one of his officers whispered, "are they the ones who made humanity?" Ryan shook his head. "No, but maybe they made what came before us. Earth, the hidden archive in the ruins beneath old Antarctica. Scientists uncovered a sealed human bunker from before the digital age. Inside, they found strange metallic plates, not human in origin, covered in symbols identical to those on the architect structures. One line was translated by AI linguists. Those who learn Unity shall summon the Makers, and the Makers shall test their creation. Ryan received the translation in his quarters. He read it again and again, the words echoing like thunder. So, they're not here to destroy, he murmured. They're here to judge. The judgment begins without warning. One of the architect rings appeared in the skies above a distant alien world. Vorn 5. The same world where humans were once captured years ago. The people on the surface looked up as the sky turned white. Then everything stopped. No sound, no movement, no time. In orbit, human satellites recorded something impossible. The entire planet had been frozen, locked in a moment. Perfect still image. When the architect's signal resumed, it broadcast across all known space. Observation complete. Pattern consistent. Conquest, fear, isolation. Cycle failed. Ryan gripped the edge of the table. They're studying civilizations like experiments. Another signal followed. Final test begins with humanity. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at Ryan. They're coming here, said his aide. Elder Sari's warning across the galaxy. Elder Sari contacted Ryan one last time. Her voice was trembling. The architects judge not individuals but entire species. They test whether you bring order or chaos. The others failed. If humanity fails, they will reset everything. Ryan stared out at the stars. Then we don't fail, he said quietly. You cannot fight them with strength, Sari warned. Only with purpose. Show them what makes you human. Moments later, above Earth, every human screen went dark. Then the sky lit up, brighter than 1,000 suns. As an enormous ring appeared in orbit, cities paused. Machines stopped. The oceans glowed with strange light. From the ring, a voice echoed in every language, every mind, across every planet. You reached unity. You achieved power. But do you understand responsibility? Ryan stepped forward, facing the holographic projection of the architect before him. It was a being of living light, vast and silent. He spoke simply, calmly. We learned pain from war. We learned peace from fear. We built together not to rule, but to survive. If that is not enough, then erase us. For a moment, the universe was still. Then, the being leaned closer, light shifting like water. Your answer is incomplete. The test continues. The sky dimmed. The architect ring vanished. And in its place, a new constellation began to glow. A pattern of stars never seen before. A countdown. Ryan turned to his team. They're not done, he said. They're giving us time. A final chance to prove who we are. He looked out at Earth, beautiful, fragile, bright against the dark void. We have one last test to pass. Far beyond the Milky Way, the architects watched in silence, their lights flickering like ancient eyes. And somewhere in the dark, Elder Sari whispered the truth only she understood. The greatest threat to the galaxy was never humanity. It was always the ones who made us. The stars had fallen silent. Across the Milky Way, every ship, every world waited for what would happen next. The architects had vanished. But they had left a message burning in the heavens, a countdown made of stars. No one knew what it meant. No one except Commander Ryan Hale, Earth, Project Horizon Command Center. The countdown neared its end. Humanity watched as the final lights blinked one by one across the sky. 72 hours remaining, said the AI voice. After that, unknown event. Ryan stood before the great window looking down at Earth. Cities glowed softly in the darkness. Children played, people prayed, nations stayed united. He whispered, "They're watching us. They want to see if we can stand together." The Galactic Council, desperation for the first time in history. The alien races who had feared and fought humans now sent messages of peace. Elder Sari's voice echoed through the interstellar channels. If humanity fails this test, we all fail. We must act together, not as species but as life. Even Lord Varel's former armies, broken and scattered, offered their ships for the cause. It was something the galaxy had never seen. Unity born out of fear. And hope, the signal from the stars. With only 24 hours left, the Architect Network activated. A beam of energy shot across the void, connecting hundreds of star systems. Suddenly, entire planets began to lose power. Machines shut down. Only human technology still worked. The architect energy seemed to flow through them instead of against them. Why only us? An officer asked. Ryan replied softly, because the test was never for them. It was for us. He stared at the data. The beam formed a perfect path leading directly to Earth's moon. Lunar surface. The final message. Human expedition landed near the silent architect structure that had appeared there overnight. A silver monolith taller than any building on Earth. Ryan placed his hand on it. The surface rippled like liquid light. A voice filled his mind. Show us the meaning of creation. Suddenly, visions flooded his mind. Endless wars, peace treaties, discoveries, sacrifices. Everything humanity had ever done, good and bad. Ryan fell to his knees. He whispered, "We are not perfect. We fight, we fail, but we learn. That's what makes us human." The architect judgment. The skies above Earth opened like glass breaking. The ring returned, larger than ever, filling half the heavens. A voice deep and infinite spoke to all life. You understand growth. You understand pain, yet you still reach for light. This is the proof we sought. The countdown ended, but there was no destruction. Instead, beams of golden energy rained down, not to destroy, but to rebuild. Across the galaxy, dead worlds came to life again. Stars reignited. Oceans returned to barren moons. The architects had passed their judgment. Humanity had succeeded. Elder Sari's last transmission from her ship near the edge of the galaxy. Elder Sari smiled through tears. You did it, humans. You reminded the universe what it means to live. Her message spread across every world, replayed for generations. Earth. The aftermath. Ryan stood on the same balcony where it all began. Above him, the architect ring slowly faded, leaving behind a new constellation, a spiral of light shaped like a human hand reaching toward the stars. His officer approached. Sir, what now? Ryan smiled slightly. Now we build, not as conquerors, but as caretakers. He looked up at the glowing symbol and whispered, maybe that's what they wanted all along, not to test our strength, but our heart. Beyond the galaxy in the far distance, the architects watched. Their massive forms dissolved into the starlight, their mission complete. One of them spoke in a tone like thunder and song. They have learned compassion. The experiment endures, and as they vanished into the dark, the galaxies began to sing, the sound of new beginnings. The story of mankind spread across the stars, the tale of those who were warned, those who were feared, and those who finally proved that humanity was worth saving.